Chapter 151, The small flame was suppressed once again. Yun Chujio was completely dumbfounded. She just said it casually. Why did this damn little mudfish match her with such an apt punishment? This damn little purple mudfish did not come earlier or later, but it just had to strike her at this time, so it must be on purpose. It was really detestable. This purple lightning bolt was only as thick as a pinky finger, so Yun Chujio absorbed it without any pressure, then laughed dryly at Beiming. Coincidence. This is completely a coincidence. Beiming snorted and glared at Yun Chujio. Then, he turned around and entered the house. Yun Chujio pointed her middle finger at the small piece of dark cloud in the sky. Little mudfish, you want to fight with me? If you have the ability, then continue to attack me. The dark cloud rumbled. Yun Chujio thought that it would continue to strike her. She did not expect the dark cloud to disappear in a flash. Yun Chujio pouted. So you're a coward. You have no courage at all, and you are far inferior to me. A person must have courage and courage to live. Black thing, get in here. Yep, coming. Well, there was a time, place, and situation to show valor and courage. Yun Chujio sneaked into the house and saw Beiming sitting on a chair, with a brush, ink, paper, and inkstone on the table. Yun Chujio immediately had a bad feeling. Come here. I have nothing to do. From today on, I'll teach you calligraphy. I'll make you lose your temper. Beiming thought of Yun Chujio's dog-like handwriting and came up with this idea. Yun Chujio grinned. Prince Charming, I don't want this, alright? I've been working the whole day and I'm exhausted. I can't even lift my arms. How will I have the strength to practice calligraphy? Beiming sneered, then picked up the brush and wrote 3 words. This is my name. Don't sleep until you finish writing it 30 times. Yun Chujio rolled her eyes. Humph. Since she was asked to write it, then she would just write it absent-mindedly. If you don't write it seriously, then double it. If you don't, then continue to double it. Beiming saw through Yun Chujio's thoughts at a glance and said coldly. Yun Chujio had no choice but to start writing with a bitter face. As she wrote, she muttered, there are so many names out there, but he has to have the main character. It's so hard to write that character. My name is better. It's simple and easy to remember. What do you know? There's a fish in the northern sea, its name is Kuan. My name has an illusion. Humph. What kind of stupid illusion is that? Doesn't it mean fish? Might as well call yourself Emperor Northern Fish. Black thing. Shut up. I'll shut up then. No wonder he kept staring at her with dead fish eyes. It turned out he was a stinky fish. After writing for almost 4 hours, Yun Chujio felt that her wrist was about to break. Beiming snorted. Let's call it a day. Well, continue tomorrow night. Yun Chujio angrily began to wash up. Then, she took off her coat and lay down in the middle of the bed. Her hands and feet were spread open. It was obvious that she did not want Beiming to sleep on the bed. After Beiming washed up, he saw Yun Chujio occupying the entire bed. He could not help but frown. Move deeper in the bed. This is my bed. Yun Chujio's little flame of resistance burned again. Beiming snorted. Black thing, I'll count to 3. If you don't move, I'll let you sleep on the floor tonight. 1. 2. 3. Prince Charming, I'm afraid of this bed. Now that it's warm, come up. Yun Chujio obediently rolled to the side of the bed. The little flame was once again mercilessly suppressed. Chapter 152, What's mine is yours. Yun Chujio's heart was filled with tears. As expected, whoever played the strongest fist would have their way. Gigolo, just you wait. When I become stronger, I'll sleep on the bed and let you kneel on the ground and sing me a lullaby. Di Biming's lips curled up. He took off his coat and lay on the outer corner of the bed. Yun Chujia's eyes rolled around and she had another idea. Prince Charming, as the saying goes, men and women should not be intimate. It's not good for us to sleep on the same bed, right? Well, what you said makes sense. In that case, you can sleep on the ground. Ah, ha ha ha, I'm joking. I'm still young, so I can't be considered a woman. There's no need to avoid suspicion. Di Biming raised his eyebrows. Have you forgotten? There's another saying that men and women have different seats at the age of 7. So for your reputation, you'd better sleep on the ground. Why do I need to sleep on the ground, and not you? Yun Chujio shouted very loudly in the first half of her sentence. The second half of her sentence became quieter and quieter under Di Biming's gaze, like the chirping of a mosquito. Di Biming retracted his gaze and said lightly, because it's your reputation that's bad, not mine. Humph. This is my bed. Yun Chujio deliberately emphasized the word my. Oh. Since you want to be calculative, then return the ring that I gave you to me. As well as the cultivation technique, the spirit fruit, the food, and, Prince Charming, I'm just joking. Isn't mine yours? It's getting late, let's go to bed early. Ah, I'm so sleepy, I'm falling asleep. Yun Chujio closed her eyes and covered her head with the quilt, pretending to snore. Di Biming watched Yun Chujio shrink into the quilt like a little quail and could not help but laugh. He waved his hand and extinguished the candle. Yun Chujio saw that Di Biming had stopped talking, so she secretly stuck her head out. Damn, that was close. If she were to lose a storage ring because of a bed, it would be a huge loss. If they slept together, so be it. It was not like they had never slept together before. Although the gigolo was despicable, he did not look like a pervert. Moreover, she looked so dry. He probably would not be able to bring himself to bite her. After Yun Chujio comforted herself, she fell asleep very quickly. On the other hand, Di Biming could not fall asleep no matter how hard he tried. Hence, he turned his body to look at Yun Chujio's sweet sleeping face in a daze. Huh. The black thing seemed to be much fairer than when he first saw it. Actually, the black thing was not that ugly. Her facial features were quite exquisite. If she was fairer, it would still be acceptable. Di Biming looked at it and could not help but reach out to touch Yun Chujio's face. It was quite smooth. Yun Chujio felt something on her face in her sleep. She lifted her arm and pushed it. Then, she turned around and fell asleep. Di Biming's face turned hot and he retracted his hand. Humph. Black thing, do you think that this venerable self is willing to touch you? I'm just curious. Yes, just curious. Di Biming turned around and faced Yun Chujio's back. He thought about it for a while before falling asleep. However, when they fell asleep, both of them turned around at the same time. Yun Chujio's head was in Di Biming's arms and she slept soundly. The next morning, Yun Chujio opened her eyes again under Elder Huang's loud voice. Yun Chujio carefully moved Di Biming's hand away from her waist. She stretched and got off the bed. After washing up, she hopped off to work. After Yun Chujio left, Di Biming suddenly sat up. Why would I dream of that black thing? And dream about? How is this possible? It must be because my true self had been injured recently and was not at ease. Yes, that must be the case. Chapter 153, Wicked Thief. Yun Chujio did not know of Di Biming's dilemma. He was thinking about little Jiu. Now that she had a storage ring, she would definitely plunder more good things and put them in the ring. Thus, the big kitchen suffered. That's strange. I just steamed 20 baskets of dumplings. Why are there 2 baskets missing? Why are there 3 pots missing from the steamed dumplings? There were 20 pots of stewed beef, why are there only 16 pots left? Yun Chujio saw that things seemed to be getting out of hand, so she finally stopped. She followed the crowd and scolded the wicked thief for stealing the food. Elder Huang searched for a long time but still could not find the reason, so he could only let it go. Perhaps everyone remembered it wrongly. Yun Chujio, go and send this storage bag to the alchemy room. Inside is the food senior brother Zhang Ji asked for. You must hand it to him personally. Manager Ding handed a storage bag to Yun Chujio. Bei Yuan happened to be at the side, so he said when he saw this, Manager Ding, little Jiu doesn't have the spiritual power so she walks too slow. It's better for me to go. Manager Ding's face darkened. Bei Yuan, why can't I even order a new handyman to do some tasks? Besides, senior brother Zhang Ji isn't in a hurry. As long as it arrives today, it's fine. Yun Chujio quickly said, it's fine. I'll go. I haven't been to the alchemy room yet, so I'll just take it as getting to know the area. Bei Yuan had no choice but to call Yun Chujio to the side and whispered, the alchemy room is different from other places. Even the elders aren't willing to offend the people there. You must be careful. Yun Chujio nodded and left the big kitchen. Manager Ding looked at Yun Chujio's back and a trace of sternness flashed through his eyes. Stinky girl, you're dead meat this time. Yun Chujio was clever. She naturally guessed that Manager Ding had bad intentions. However, there was no reason to take precautions. She wanted to see what kind of great gift he had prepared for her. Yun Chujio thought about it and did not let Little Black follow her. If they accused Little Black of stealing the pills, she would not be able to justify it. Yun Chujio held her storage bag and hopped to the alchemy room. Pills were extremely important to a sect, so the alchemy room was located near the top of Middle Peak. The spiritual energy there was very rich, and it was also beneficial to the alchemist's cultivation. Along the way, she met many disciples. As most of them had been to the cafeteria, Yun Chujio greeted them as if they were friends. Ah, senior brother, you're even more handsome than a few days ago. Senior sister, I almost didn't recognize you after not seeing you for a few days. You've become more beautiful again. Senior sister, this acupink dress you're wearing really suits your skin color. You're like a fairy. Everyone liked to hear good things. When they saw how well Yun Chujio spoke, they naturally replied as well. Yun Chujio said that she had been sent by Manager Ding to the pill refining room to deliver something to senior brother Zhang Ji. Yun Chujio noticed that there were a few people who heard her and their eyes flickered. When Yun Chujio saw this, she became curious and intentionally or otherwise, started conversing even more. Little girl, let me tell you. I accidentally found out that senior brother Zhang Ji is related to Lu Qingzhen, who was expelled from the sect a few days ago. Yeah, I also heard that senior brother Zhang Ji is Lu Qingzhen's cousin. You should be careful. Senior brother Zhang Ji is highly regarded by Elder Qi of the pill refining room. He is about to be accepted as a personal disciple. He is currently in the limelight. You must not offend him. After Yun Chujio thanked everyone, she was on her way up the mountain again. She would not offend anyone if they did not offend her. It was fine if Zhang Ji did not offend her. However, if he was up to no good, regardless of whether he was a personal disciple or not, she had to get rid of him. Chapter 154, Strange Thoughts. After walking for more than 2 hours, Yun Chujio finally saw the pill refining room. Before she even got close to the pill refining room, 2 servants shouted, "Stop! This is an important place for pill refining. No one is allowed to enter." Yun Chujio said with a smile, "Thank you for your hard work, senior brothers. I'm from the big kitchen. Manager Ding of the Ding army asked me to deliver food to senior brother Zhang Ji." One of the servants looked at Yun Chujio and said, "Are you Yun Chujio? You look exactly like the rumors." Go in and come back quickly. Yun Chuzhou thanked him and asked about the alchemy room where Zhang Ji was. Then, she headed to the alchemy room. As soon as she entered the alchemy room, she smelled the rich aroma of pills. Yun Chuzhou had always had a different way of thinking. The first thought that flashed through her mind at that moment was that the smell was similar to the taste of toffee. It was caramelized and fragrant. It had been a long time since she had eaten sugar. Yun Chuzhou came to the number 7 alchemy room where Zhang Ji was. She said respectfully at the door, "Senior brother Zhang, I'm from the big kitchen. Manager Ding asked me to bring you some food. Come in." A man's voice came from inside. Yun Chuzhou pushed the door open and a wave of hot air mixed with the medicinal aroma assaulted her face. A man was refining pills with his back facing her. Yun Chuzhou watched the man's movements with curiosity. The man kept forming seals and adding medicinal herbs into the furnace. The medicinal fragrance in the furnace became stronger and stronger. Finally, the man stopped and took out 6 pills from the furnace and placed them on a jade plate to cool down. Yun Chuzhou looked at the 6 pills on the jade plate and suddenly had the thought of swallowing all the pills into her stomach. The thought was so strong that Yun Chuzhou was in a daze. The man turned around and looked at Yun Chuzhou. "Did Manager Ding send you here?" The man saw that Yun Chuzhou was stunned and did not reply. A trace of pride flashed in his eyes, and he raised his voice and asked again. Yun Chuzhou finally came to her senses. She nodded and handed the storage bag forward. "Senior brother Zhang, Manager Ding asked me to give this to you." Zhang Ji took the storage bag and opened it to take a look. He then turned around to search on the shelf. He then took out a white porcelain bottle and handed it to Yun Chuzhou. "Bring this back to Manager Ding." Yun Chuzhou nodded in agreement and turned around to leave. She then obediently closed the door and left the alchemy room. Zhang Ji could not help but sneer. Qingzhen was really a good-for-nothing. He had actually allowed such a dark girl to enter Spirit Radiance sect. However, that dark girl had already inhaled the intoxication for 3 days. In less than 3 days, she would definitely die silently in her sleep. If an unimportant handyman died, then so be it. No one would pay attention to it. He could be considered to have avenged Qingzhen. As for the other 6, there were plenty of opportunities to take care of them. Why was one of the spirit-gathering pills that he had just refined missing? The black girl had stolen it. No way. She did not have any spiritual power, so it was impossible for her to do anything right under his nose. Perhaps he had remembered wrongly. He refined 5 pills just now. Yun Chuzhou walked out of the pill refining room, feeling a little puzzled. Strange. Zhang Ji did not make things difficult for her, nor did he frame her. However, that Zhang Ji's eyes were clearly filled with hatred for her, and there was even a hint of complacency. Could he have done something? An alchemist? Could it be that he had poisoned her? Yun Chuzhou recalled the fragrance she smelled when she pushed the door open. She thought to herself, "Oh no. I must have been tricked. What should I do?" Yun Chuzhou recalled the pill that she had accidentally stolen in the pill room. At that time, she did not know why she wanted to swallow those pills so badly. If not for her strong will, she might have swallowed those pills on the spot. Chapter 155, A Blessing in Disguise. As Yun Chuzhou thought of this, she turned to a small path nearby and took out the pill that she had stolen from her storage ring. Just as she was about to take a closer look, a huge suction force suddenly came from her mouth. The pill entered Yun Chuzhou's stomach with a whoosh. Yun Chuzhou was shocked. She coughed and used her fingers to pick at it. She even tried to stand on her head. Unfortunately, it was useless. The pill disappeared mysteriously. Yun Chuzhou wanted to cry, but she had no tears. Not only was she poisoned, but she also had a strange disease. She did not know what kind of pill she swallowed. If it was poison, she would definitely be finished. Yun Chujio went back to the kitchen with her head dropped. She handed the porcelain bottle to Manager Ding. Then, she pretended to be sick with Elder Huang and went back to the dormitory with a sad face. Di Baiming saw that Yun Chujio had returned and asked in puzzlement, "Why are you back?" Yun Chujio was not in the mood to please him at the moment. She said in a muffled voice, "This is my house. If I want to come back, I will come back." Di Baiming was about to lose his temper, but he saw Yun Chujio's small shoulders twitching. It was obvious that she was crying. He could not help but feel a little flustered. "I'm just asking you. I didn't say anything. Why are you crying?" When Yun Chujio heard Di Baiming's question, she immediately had a way to vent her emotions. She could not help but start to wail loudly, sob, "I'm going to die. I still have many wishes that haven't been fulfilled. I'm going to die. I'm so miserable." Sob. Di Baiming was shocked. When he saw Yun Chujio crying her eyes out, it was obvious that she was really sad. "Black thing, what's going on? I'm here. You won't die." Sob. "I was poisoned and have strange disease. If I die, you can keep my blood and drink it in the future. You can keep it in a big pot or something." "Nonsense. Who poisoned you? They're simply courting death." Di Baiming's eyebrows stood up. "I can't even bear to kill the black thing. Who is the one courting death?" Yun Chujio used Di Baiming's clothes to wipe away her tears and snot. She sobbed as she told him about the incident. Di Baiming had long forgotten about the misophobia. He hurriedly grabbed Yun Chujio's right wrist and stretched it out, then frowned. 3 days of drunkenness? What kind of poison is 3 days of drunkenness? Why does it sound like a wine name? And it's the kind of good old wine. Yun Chujio's eyes lit up. 3 days of drunkenness is a kind of deadly poison. The person who inhales it will die silently in his sleep within 3 days. Di Baiming almost fainted from anger. It was already so late and she was still thinking about eating and drinking. What? Then I only have 3 days to live. It must be that Zhang Ji who poisoned me. Damn it. I'll go and find him now. If he doesn't give me the antidote, I'll use lightning to strike him. Yun Chujio was also frightened just now. Now that she had recovered from her shock, she immediately regained her domineering aura. Wait. Di Baiming pressed on Yun Chujio's wrist with a shocked expression. It was obvious that he had suffered a huge impact. Isn't it 3 days of drunkenness? Is it 1 day of drunkenness? Am I going to choke on my farts today? Then hurry up and let go of me. I have to find that bastard to get the antidote. Yun Chujio was anxious. This girl cherished her life the most and hated Zhang Ji the most. Yes, your situation is a little special. Di Baiming felt that Yun Chujio was a freak. Why were all the things that happened to her so unbelievable? How is it special? Although you were intoxicated for 3 days, the intoxication of these 3 days disappeared quickly for some reason. It even turned into the power of lightning strangely. Di Baiming felt that he was talking nonsense, however, this was something that really happened in Yun Chujio's body. Chapter 156, B is all the grass fault, what? You mean to say that the so-called 3-day intoxication not only didn't kill me, but it's good for me? Yun Chujio's eyes widened, obviously unable to accept it. From your pulse, it seems so. Look inside your dantian. Yun Chujio immediately sat cross-legged on the bed and began to look inwardly. Then, she cried. The little grass in her dantian was holding a medicinal pill with 2 leaves and munching on it. Damn it! Whose dantian could grow grass? Who had ever seen grass with a mouth? Sun sob. It was her. It was her. That grass might have noticed Yun Chujio's peeping and even shook itself proudly. Yun Chujio also noticed that there were threads of black gas in her meridians that were rapidly gathering toward her dantian before finally being eaten by the grass. As for the power of lightning, it was slowly released by the grass. It was as if the amount of black gas and medicinal pills that were eaten would release the corresponding power of lightning. What the hell was this thing? Yun Chujio felt a wave of dizziness. She had no choice but to withdraw her spiritual sense. Then, she sat on the bed in a daze. How is it? Did you see it? What happened? Di Biming asked anxiously. There's grass growing in my dantian. Wait, what did you say? You said there's grass growing in your dantian. Di Biming felt that there was something wrong with his ears. Yun Chujio nodded and said with a sad face, that damn grass used to swallow lightning and now it's swallowing pills. Yun Chujio told Di Biming everything. She did not know why she did not hide anything from Di Biming. Di Biming was stunned. There was grass growing in her dantian. That grass could swallow lightning. It could swallow pills. It could absorb poison. It could even release the power of lightning. This was unheard of, it was too unbelievable. Yun Chujio saw that Di Biming did not speak, so she panicked. Am I really in a hopeless situation? Am I going to become the grass nourishment? I never thought that I, Yun Chujio, would die at the hands of grass. I can't die in peace. Di Biming frowned, he paced back and forth in the room. Black thing, you don't have to worry too much. Even if that grass is harmful to you, it won't do anything to you for the time being. It should treat you as a host and won't do anything to you until it's fully grown. There must be a way to get rid of it. Yun Chujio pouted. Well, it is what it is. However, even if I can't deal with that grass, I can still deal with that Zhangji. I won't forgive him. He actually wants to poison me, so we'll have to kill him sooner or later. Di Biming's eyes deepened and he did not speak. The next morning, there was an explosion at Spirit Radiance sect. Did you hear? Zhangji from the alchemy room had his tendons and hamstrings cut off by someone. Not only that, I heard that his tongue was also cut off. I also heard that his cultivation was crippled. This is worse than death. Who did this? This person's cultivation must be very high. I heard that Elder Qi was so angry that he will do an extremely thorough investigation. This person is simply too audacious. Could it be a spy from another sect? It doesn't make sense. What's the purpose of a spy doing this? Zhangji is just an inner sect disciple. Then it should be a vendetta. Who would have such a huge grudge against Zhangji? Yun Chujio blinked her eyes. Could it be that this was done by a gigolo? Chapter 157, I love you to death. Zhangji's tongue had been cut off so he could not speak, and his tendons, and he was unable to write since his tendons were cut off. Therefore, Elder Qi had no choice but to call the relevant people over to interrogate them. Naturally, Yun Chujio was also called over. Yun Chujio had always been good at acting. She swaggered over, and when she was questioned, her answers were naturally airtight. Elder Qi felt that a little girl without spiritual power was indeed unable to do such a thing. After asking a few questions, he let Yun Chujio go back. After finishing the work at night, Yun Chujio went back to the courtyard. Prince Charming, you were the one who helped me clean up that Zhangji, right? Yun Chujio asked Di Biming with her starry eyes. Di Biming was very proud in his heart, but he pretended to not care. I just don't like him, it has nothing to do with you. Prince Charming, I know you're venting your anger for me. You're such a good person. I love you so much. Yun Chujio was so excited that she stood on her tiptoes and kissed Di Biming on the cheek. Di Biming's entire body seemed to be frozen. There was a loud bang in his head, like fireworks blooming in the sky. The soft touch seemed to be transmitted to his heart. Yun Chujio jumped for a while and frowned. Prince Charming, that Elder Chi is currently investigating this. He won't pin it on me, right? Di Biming finally came back to his senses and raised his eyebrows. Clearly, he felt that Yun Chujia's question was a little unnecessary. Yun Chujio had gotten her revenge, so she naturally would not bother Di Biming about this. Her words of flattery kept jumping out. Di Biming enjoyed it very much. When he was in a good mood, he took out some spirit fruits and pastries from his storage ring and gave them to Yun Chujio. When Yun Chujio saw the delicious food, she became even more obsequious. She almost wagged her tail. Di Biming felt extremely refreshed and sweet. This feeling was even more wonderful than when his spiritual power had risen a level. I heard from the black thing that there was a manager Ding in the kitchen. Maybe an Een should also take care of him. Di Biming thought of this and asked Yun Chujio, "Black thing, do you need me to help you take care of that manager Ding?" Yun Chujio thought for a moment, no, I'll do it myself. It'll be fun. Di Biming also felt that manager Ding was too weak. It was good to let her practice. The next day, when Yun Chujio went to work, she noticed that manager Ding was looking at her with a probing gaze. When Yun Chujio looked over, he avoided her gaze. Yun Chujio jumped in front of him. "Manager Ding, why are you always looking at me? Do you still want me to deliver something for you?" Manager Ding did not know why, but he felt that Yun Chujio was implying something. He waved his hand awkwardly. "No need. You do what you need to do. Oh, if you need anything, just let me know. I'm happy to run errands for you," Yun Chujio said with a smile. Seeing this, manager Ding felt even more nervous. He gave a few perfunctory words and hurried out. The more manager Ding thought about it, the more uneasy he felt. However, on second thought, Yun Chujio did not have any spiritual power at all. How could she be the one who did it? He must have been thinking too much. This damn brat, she must be kicking him while he was down. Humph. You don't have to be so smug. There's only one more day before the effects of the 3-day intoxication kick in. Your time to die is up. However, after a few days, Yun Chujio was still alive and kicking. There were no symptoms of poisoning at all. Could it be that Zhang Ji failed to poison her back then? Yes, that must be the case. Yun Chujio could not have gotten the antidote for the 3-day intoxication. Even so, manager Ding still felt a little uneasy. He felt that things would not be so simple. Chapter 158, I'm sick. Manager Ding was suspicious and restrained his actions. He did not look for Yun Chujio and the others. Yun Chujio was not in a hurry to make a move and was prepared to find a suitable time to strike. That night, Yun Chujio had just returned to the dormitory when Di Biming said to her, "Black thing, I need to go back. First, I need to take care of some things. Then, I need to find someone to ask about the condition of the grass in your body." After Di Biming finished speaking, he looked at Yun Chujio with anticipation. He did not expect Yun Chujio to indifferently reply, "Okay, go. Go. I'm exhausted. I need to lie down for a while." His poor excellency had played the scene several times. For example, she was reluctant to part with him, or she was crying and hugging him and was reluctant to let him go, or yes, Black Thing gave him a kiss. In an instant, the beautiful scenes popped. Di Biming could only sigh in his heart, it was so stifling that he could not breathe. Di Biming was furious. He smashed the new table with one palm and the things on it shattered all over the floor. A stack of rice paper written by Yun Chujio turned into paper scraps. Yun Chujio was shocked. "What are you doing?" Di Biming looked at Yun Chujio and gritted his teeth. "I'm sick." "What?" Yun Chujio was dumbfounded. Did this gigolo take the wrong medicine? Di Biming saw that Yun Chujio was still in a daze and did not react. He was so angry that he flung his sleeves and left just like that. This black thing was really heartless. She did not even have the slightest intention of missing him. An could feel that the temperature in the surroundings had dropped by a few degrees. He sighed in his heart. It was over. The days that followed would be filled with suffering. He did not know how Miss Jiao had offended His Excellency that he became so angry. On the other hand, Yun Chujiao was calm and collected. She shrugged her shoulders. This gigolo had not had a crazy fit for a long time. It seemed that it was that time of the month again. Yun Chujiao rolled a few times on the bed. It was great that the gigolo had left. She could finally monopolize the bed. However, Yun Chujiao could not fall asleep even after tossing and turning until midnight. She mumbled, "That's weird. Why isn't anyone fighting with me for territory? I'm not used to it. 1 gigolo, 2 gigolos, 3 gigolos." The next day, Yun Chujiao went to the kitchen with 2 big dark circles under her eyes. "Little Jiao, didn't sleep well yesterday? Are you feeling unwell?" Yun Chu asked with concern when she saw Yun Chujiao looking listless. Yun Chujiao giggled. "No, I just had too much fun with Little Black, that's why I slept late." Little Black stared at her with its puzzized eyes with grievance on its face. This young master would not admit it. Yun Chu asked a few more questions. Seeing that there was nothing unusual, she went to work. After breakfast, Elder Huang called Yun Chujiao and the others over. "Today is the day of the elders' lecture. The 7 of you should go with Ho Tian." Yun Chujiao blinked her eyes. "Elder Huang, let the other senior brothers go. We've just arrived. There will be plenty of opportunities in the future." Elder Huang smiled and said, "You little girl, you really know how to cause trouble. You guys go ahead. Next time, let someone else go." Seeing that Elder Huang had instructed so, Yun Chujiao did not refuse. She followed Ho Tian and Yun Chuzi and rushed to Zhang Peak's lecture square. 2 hours later, the few of them arrived at the lecture square. Zhang Peak's lecture square was the same square that Yun Chujiao and the others had been teleported to after passing the test. At that time, there were already many people gathered. Some were sitting on the ground while others were chatting softly. There was a particular order to the seating. The inner disciples sat at the front followed by the outer disciples. The odd job workers could only sit at the back. Yun Chujiao and the others found a corner and sat down. Chapter 159, How Sleepy Was She? Yun Chujiao was afraid that others would suspect her, so she did not dare to use the hair growth pill. Hence, her hair was only an inch long and was particularly eye-catching in the crowd. Yun Chujiao was quite famous in the Spirit Radiance sect as of then. When they saw her going over, many people's gazes gathered over. Yun Chujiao did not mind, and she even nodded at everyone with a smile. The crowd had obviously never seen such a friendly and thick-skinned person. It was hard for them to ridicule her. "It's so uncomfortable to hold it in, isn't it?" At that moment, a female disciple exclaimed in a low voice, "Senior Brother Feng Ming is here." "Ah, it's really Senior Brother Feng Ming. He's walking toward us. Quick, check if my hairpin is crooked. Darn it, if I had known that Senior Brother Feng Ming would come back, I would have worn that pink brocade shirt." Feng Ming turned a blind eye to those fiery gazes. He walked toward Yun Chujiao and waved his hand elegantly. "Junior sister Little Jiao. Let's go, they'll bring you to sit in the front. You can hear better from the front." Yun Chujiao was never a person who was afraid of trouble. She immediately jumped up and followed Feng Ming to the front. As a result, she received a basket of eyes filled with jealousy and envy. There were no hard and fast rules regarding the seating order. It was just a convention. Therefore, when Yun Chujiao sat down, no one came to chase her away or anything like that. The inner sect disciples thought highly of themselves. When they saw Yun Chujio walking over, they all had disdainful looks. Especially the few female disciples whose gazes were even more unfriendly. Yun Chujio secretly cursed in her heart. She did not expect senior brother so-called Bird to have such good luck in love. Humph. How thick-skinned. A servant actually came to our inner sect disciples area. That's right. She's also a trash without spiritual power. What can she understand? Today, the one giving us the lecture is Elder Chi from Middle Peak. I heard that he's been in a very bad mood recently. Moreover, he loves to ask questions during the lecture. If he calls on Yun Chujio, tell me. Hee. When Feng Ming heard this, he was shocked. He did not know that it was Elder Chi's lecture that day. Elder Chi did have a habit of picking disciples to answer questions during the lecture. If he could not answer, he would be reprimanded. Junior sister Little Jiu, why don't you go to the back? That Elder Chi is very serious. Feng Ming said in a low voice. Yun Chujio waved her hand carelessly and said to Feng Ming in a low voice, I've seen Elder Chi before. Other than not having good taste, everything else is fine. You don't have to worry. I'll just sit here. It's fine. Not having good taste. Where did that come from? Feng Ming shook his head. Seeing that Yun Chujio was determined to do so, he did not say anything else. Actually, Yun Chujio had discovered something interesting and was reluctant to go back. After a while, Elder Chi walked to the front with a gloomy face and sat down on the ground. Elder Chi's mood had been very bad the past few days. He had originally planned to take Zhang Ji as his personal disciple, but who would have thought that a person who was fine the day before would become a cripple overnight? What was even more depressing was that after a few days, there were no clues about the murderer at all. What was even more depressing was that he even found poisons and a few letters in Zhang Ji's storage bag. They were all indicating sinister deeds. Elder Chi's mood was very complicated. He was angry, disappointed, and a trace relieved. If it was not for Zhang Ji's accident, he would really have accepted such a heartless student who would just cause endless trouble in the future. That day, Elder Chi was explaining the 100 volumes of medicinal herbs, which was the basic knowledge of medicinal herbs. After a while, Elder Chi swept his gaze over the crows. Most of the people were listening seriously. Only the tan lass sitting in the front row had her face almost pressed against the stone slab. How sleepy was she? Chapter 160, How did you do it? Elder Chi frowned. He still had some impression of Yun Chujio. Wasn't this the tan girl who was called in for questioning a few days ago? You. Answer the difference between the purple wisdom grass and the purple hawk grass. Elder Chi pointed at Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio did not move at all. She sat there, watching attentively. Feng Ming poked Yun Chujio, and Yun Chujio was shocked. Just as she was about to ask Feng Ming what was wrong, Elder Chi got angry. Stand up. Are you here to listen to my lecture or to sleep? Yun Chujio stood up and answered obediently, I'm here to listen to your lecture. Elder Chi became even angrier when he heard that. Since you're here to listen to my lecture, why is your head down? Yun Chujio was at a loss. Can't you keep your head down while listening to the lecture? Does one have to stare at you while listening to the lecture? This was the first time Elder Chi had met a student who dared to talk back to him. He was already holding his anger in his heart, but this time, he exploded. You. Good. Then tell me what's the difference between purple wisdom grass and purple hawk grass. The people below began to discuss quietly. It's over. Yun Chujio has completely offended Elder Chi. That's right, she actually dared to go against Elder Chi. How audacious. I told you that Yun Chujio would do this to herself. Why did she sit in the front row for no reason? She's asking for it. Damn it. Let her be smug. Does she think that senior brother Feng Ming likes her? Senior brother Feng Ming must be trying to put her in her place. Yun Chuzi and the others were extremely worried. They stretched their necks and looked forward. Yun Chuzhou definitely could not answer. They hoped that Elder Qi would not punish Yun Chuzhou too harshly. Elder Qi saw that Yun Chuzhou did not speak and said coldly, "Humph. You can't answer me, right? Young people make mistakes but don't like to admit it. If you're doing this, although there's only one word difference between the purple wisdom grass and the purple hawk grass, the purple wisdom grass is in the middle grade of the black category, while the purple hawk grass is of a low grade from the yellow category. The difference between the two is very small. The purple wisdom grass has a thin red thread on the leaf veins, but the purple hawk grass does not. Elder Qi, am I right?" Yun Chuzhou tilted her head and looked at Elder Qi mischievously. Elder Qi choked back his words and his face turned red. "Humph. You must have previously known the difference between the two. I'll test you again." Yun Chuzhou blinked her eyes. "As long as it's the content that you've talked about today. I didn't have the chance to learn the knowledge of herbs before." "Humph. Of course, I'm asking about the content I taught you today. Tell me about the growth habits of the seven-leaf reed." Elder Qi thought that the seven-leaf reed was an uncommon spiritual herb, so he did not believe that this little girl had heard of it before. The seven-leaf reed mostly grows on the shores of hot springs that are rich in spiritual energy. The stalks stand upright and are more than 5 feet tall. The roots, stems, and leaves have ventilation tissue, which has the effect of stopping bleeding and detoxifying poison. Elder Qi, am I correct? Yun Chuzhou said with a smile. Elder Qi clenched his teeth in anger. Sit down. Some disciples shouldn't be complacent just because they know something. If their attitude in class isn't right, they should not attend my classes in the future. Yun Chuzhou acted as if she did not hear him. After sitting down, she still lowered her head and looked at a green stone slab as if there were flowers on it. Elder Qi was so angry that his beard curled up. However, he did not have any other good ideas. He could only ask Yun Chuzhou to get up and answer questions every once in a while. However, Yun Chuzhou could answer them quickly and accurately each time. 4 hours later, Elder Qi glared at Yun Chuzhou and left in a huff. Junior sister Little Jiu, you're simply too awesome. How did you do it? Feng Ming asked curiously. Chapter 161, had a big secret. Yun Chuzhou was staring at the green stone slab in a daze. She said carelessly, didn't he already said it once? I'm just repeating it. Feng Ming was stunned at first, then he cried out in surprise, what? What did you say? Everyone's eyes were focused on Feng Ming. He instantly returned to his usual cold and aloof state, as if the scream just now was an illusion. At that time, Yun Chuzi and the others walked over and beckoned Yun Chuzhou back to the kitchen. She finally shifted her gaze away from the green stone slab and said to Ho Tian, Manager Ho, please help me ask for half a day's leave from Elder Huang. Feng Ming also chimed in, yes, just say that I have a favor to ask of 9th junior sister. Ho Tian smiled and agreed, then left with Yun Chuzi and the others. Junior sister Jiu, you can really remember everything you've heard. Also, what's so great about this broken green stone slab? Feng Ming was extremely curious. Yun Chuzhou waved her hand at him and ignored him. She continued to focus her attention on the green stone slab. Feng Ming rubbed his nose in boredom and also lowered his head to look at the green stone slab. However, other than a bunch of meaningless patterns, he really could not see anything else. Feng Ming looked at it for a while and felt dizzy. He shook his head and sat at the side to meditate. The onlookers could not help but discuss among themselves when they saw Yun Chuzhou frowning and raising the corners of her mouth at times. Is Yun Chuzhou crazy? What is she doing? I don't know. She has always looked abnormal. How can a girl's hair be that short? A good-for-nothing without spiritual power naturally thinks differently from us. Maybe she thinks those patterns are beautiful. TSK. Those questions just now. How did that good-for-nothing answer all of them correctly? TSK. What's so strange about that? Isn't senior brother Feng Ming sitting next to her? It must be senior brother Feng Ming who helped her. Ah, what you said makes sense. Feng Ming curled his lips. What the hell was he helping? Not only did he not know the answers, even if he did, he would not dare to do anything under Elder Chi's watch. 2 hours passed. 4 hours passed. The number of people in the square decreased, but Yun Chujio still had her head down. Although, she had stared at a few different green stone slabs. Another 4 hours passed, and the sky gradually darkened. Yun Chujio was completely unaware. She continued to stare at the patterns on the stones under the moonlight. Feng Ming ended his meditation and saw that Yun Chujio was still staring at it. He asked worriedly, "Junior sister Little Jiu, are you okay?" Yun Chujio waved her hand and continued staring as if she was possessed. Seeing this, Feng Ming had no choice but to take out a few buns from his storage bag and pass them to Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio could not resist eating as she stared at the green stone slab while eating the steamed buns. "Junior sister Little Jiu, it's getting late. I'll send you back first. If you're interested in the patterns on these, come back tomorrow." Yun Chujio finally raised her head and said sincerely to Feng Ming, "Senior brother Feng Ming, do me a favor and help me apply for another day off. I want to study these patterns properly." "Junior sister Little Jiu, are these patterns special?" Feng Jiu asked curiously. Although he had not known Yun Chujio for very long, he felt that this little girl was always able to do some unexpected things. There should be a big secret behind this. But I've only discovered a little clue. I need time to continue to study it and cannot stop, or else my train of thought will be cut off. Yun Chujio knew that she had to get Feng Ming's support, so she explained patiently. Chapter 162, There Are Treasures. A big secret? Feng Ming was suddenly energized. He patted his chest and said, "No problem. Leave it to me." "Thank you, senior brother Feng Ming," Yun Chujio said with a smile. "Okay. Then I'll go and tell Elder Huang now." Feng Ming turned around and was about to leave. "Wait. Senior brother Feng Ming, you have to stay here and protect me. Write a note and get Little Black to send it." Yun Chujio pointed at the little black bird that was struggling to eat the steamed bun. Feng Ming said suspiciously, "Can it do it? This is just a young fire-breathing crow, right? It hasn't fully developed its intelligence yet. Would it be able to do its task well?" Little Black was immediately unhappy. Its bean-like eyes looked at Feng Ming with disdain. "Humph. This young master didn't even shun you for using a sledgehammer to crack a nut. You actually dare to doubt me? Isn't it just sending a letter? This young master can send a letter even with my eyes closed, okay?" Feng Ming felt as if he was hallucinating. From the eyes of Little Black, he could actually see disdain and ridicule. How could a low-level fire-breathing crow have such a human-like expression? Yun Chujio urged Feng Ming to write a note for Elder Huang as she wrote a note for Yun Chuzi before tying it to Little Black's claw. Little Black looked at Feng Ming with disdain, then flapped its short wings and flew away. After a while, the little black bird flapped its short wings and flew back to her. Feng Ming was amused. "Junior sister Little Jiu, I told you that this little black bird is unreliable, right? Look, it definitely couldn't find its way back, so it flew back again." Little Black's possessed eyes revealed a mocking expression as it cried out twice. Yun Chujio untied the note from the little black bird's leg. As expected, it was a reply from Old Huang and Yun Chuzi. It really did it. And it's so fast. Is it really just a young fire-breathing crow?" Feng Ming was in disbelief. Yes, it's a battle crow among fire-breathing crows. Yun Chujio said lightly and continued to study the patterns on the stone. Feng Ming and Little Black were dumbfounded. What the hell was a battle crow? Yun Chujio did not have the time to bother with these two. She began to study the patterns on the green stone slab. It seemed that there was already a clue. Yun Chujio's speed of observation became faster and faster. Feng Ming's heart was like a cat scratching. What secret was hidden in the green stone slab? This square seemed to have existed for tens of thousands of years and no one had noticed anything unusual. Could junior sister Little Jiu really have discovered something? The successive sect masters and elders had not discovered anything. Could it be that junior sister Little Jiu was even more powerful than them? Was that not too ridiculous? Junior sister Little Jiu did not even have spirit energy. Time passed bit by bit. It was unknown how the news had spread, but Master Xianyuan, the 5 peak masters, and some elders had all arrived at the square. Feng Ming was afraid that they would blame Yun Chujio, so he wanted to go forward and remind Yun Chujio to come over and greet them. Master Xianyuan waved his hand, indicating that he should not disturb Yun Chujio. Feng Ming's heart was in a mess. He did not know why things were getting out of hand. Was Master Xianyuan, the 5 peak masters, and the elders idle because there was nothing to fear for? What are they doing here in the middle of the night? Moreover, Master Xianyuan and the other peak masters were very excited. What was going on? Yun Chujio seemed to have been immersed in some mysterious realm, completely unaware of the arrival of the Master Xianyuan and the others. Yun Chujio suddenly raised her head to look at the sky, then ran to the side of a green stone slab and shouted excitedly, "Senior brother Feng Ming! Quick! Quick! Pry open this green stone slab, there are treasures underneath." Chapter 163, A Demonic Barrier. Without waiting for Feng Ming to agree, Elder Chu leaped over. Where? Where? What treasure is under there? Let me dig. Only then did Yun Chujio realize that Master Xianyuan and the others were there. Yun Chujio glared angrily at Feng Ming. Fuck. I've been searching all night and these people actually took advantage of me. I'm so wronged. Feng Ming rubbed his nose and thought to himself, each of these people is more powerful than the last. What would he dare to say? Elder Chu was already excitedly prying open the green stone slabs. These green stone slabs were all polished from 10,000-year-old southern jade, and each of them weighed more than 1,000 caddies. However, this was a piece of cake for Elder Chu. Hold on. The Southern Jade Square is the 10,000-year-old legacy of our Spirit Radiance sect. How can it be damaged just because of a little girl's nonsense? Xiao Pancher had always looked down on Yun Chujio. At this moment, his brows were tightly knitted together. Sect leader, Elder Xiao's words are not without reason. Yun Chujio is just an insignificant servant without any spiritual power, and she hasn't even entered the sect for a month. She really doesn't have much credibility. That's right. Over the past 10,000 years, our Spirit Radiance sect has produced many talents, but those heaven's favorites didn't discover anything. Could it be that a little girl like her could discover something? This is too ridiculous. That's right. We can't easily pry open this green stone slab. This is disrespectful to the ancestors of the past generations. Everyone was discussing animatedly. Most people felt that Yun Chujio was simply fooling around. Yun Chujio rolled her eyes. It would be better if they did not believe her. When the time came, she would quietly pry open the green stone slab and the treasures would all belong to her alone. Elder Chu had a temperamental personality. He rolled his eyes and said, "Don't make everything sound so serious. It's not like you won't close it after prying open it. What can you do about it? Besides, what's wrong with this tan girl? She has been staring at the green stone slab for half a night. Who would be able to mess around like that for half a night? Sect Master, what do you think we should do? I don't think the girl is messing around. There must be something down there. Master Xianyuan pondered for a moment before saying, let's pry it open. The founders won't blame us. It's time for the secret of 10,000 years to see the light of day again. Elder Chu exerted some force, and the thick and heavy green stone slab was slowly pried open. 2 more elders came over and each held one side of the green stone slab. They lifted the green stone slab and gently placed it to the side. Everyone's gaze focused on the dark brown soil. The few elders began to dig, but they had already dug 6 feet deep and they still had no results. Everyone could not help but feel a little discouraged. Elder Shao and the others who opposed the idea revealed expressions of as expected. This was simply impossible. How could a little girl without spirit energy be more powerful than them? Was that not just a joke? Elder Chu was initially full of confidence, but as the hole was dug deeper and deeper, his heart began to beat faster. Could it be that the black girl was wrong? 6 feet, 9 feet, 10 feet. Even when it was 20 feet deep, there was still nothing. An elder curled his lips. Sect Master, it's better to fill up the soil. There's simply nothing. This is a waste of time. Otherwise, when the sun rises, the disciples will take us as jokes. Master Xianyuan was also a little uncertain. Could it be that there really was nothing? Yun Chujio walked to the edge of the pit. She shouted toward the deep pit, "Hey! Hurry up and get out. Otherwise, you can only play dead below. Don't you want to come out and see this colorful world? Don't you want to see all kinds of delicious food? Don't you want to see a magnificent beauty like me?" Everyone's face froze. Was Yun Chujio possessed? What was the use of shouting? Were there any living things down there? Chapter 164, Must be an immortal artifact. Junior sister Little Jiu, could it be that the thing below is alive? Feng Ming's eyes lit up as he asked Yun Chujio. I don't know either. However, I feel that even if a rolling pin is buried underground for 10,000 years, it should have gained sentience, right? Yun Chujio said casually. Everyone originally had high hopes, but after hearing Yun Chujio's words, they were instantly discouraged. It turned out that she was just spouting nonsense. Nonsense. This is simply nonsense. Do you think that things can just give birth to intelligence? What's more, a rolling pin. Nonsense. I told you, there won't be anything down there. Hurry up and fill up the soil. Although Yun Chujio has only entered the sect for a short period of time, she has caused a lot of trouble. She must be severely punished. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes. Severely punished her? Fuck. You still dare to say that? Did I drag you here, or did I kidnap you? Don't you know what an uninvited guest is? You are. You really are shameless. Of course, these words were all secretly criticized by Yun Chujio. She did not have the courage to openly seek death. Just as everyone was discussing, the ground of the entire southern Jade Square began to tremble. A faint light could be seen from under the soil. Master Xianyuan was stunned for a moment before he shouted, "Set up the formation." The 5 peak masters were the first to react. They sat down cross-legged in various directions. 6 streaks of spiritual energy shot into the sky and a curtain of light enveloped the entire square. The 6 of them had set up a spirit radiant star formation. It could not only isolate the spiritual energy from leaking out, but it could also isolate the prying eyes of the outside world. Everyone was extremely excited. There really was a rare treasure. A treasure that had existed since 10,000 years ago must be an immortal item. The appearance of such a rare treasure would definitely cause an earth-shattering phenomenon. If others were to target it, it would be too much of a loss. Everyone's eyes were fixed on the brown soil. Yun Chujia's heart was especially excited and conflicted. She was excited because her guess was right, there was indeed a treasure down there. She was conflicted because there were so many hungry wolves guarding there. Even if there was a treasure, she would not be able to reap the benefits. She was so upset, she wanted to vomit blood. The ground was trembling more and more violently. The light emitted from the ground was so bright that people could hardly open their eyes. An immortal item. It must be an immortal item. Everyone was so excited that they were slightly trembling. How great of a blessing it was to be able to see an immortal item appearing in the world. At the moment when the light was at its peak, a streak of black light shot out from underground and flew straight into the sky. Fortunately, Master Shenyuan and the others had already set up the spirit radiant star formation. After that streak of black light crashed into the curtain of light, its speed slowed down for a moment before it struggled to escape. Seeing that the situation was not good, Master Shenyuan hurriedly shouted, "Everyone, quickly lend a hand to the 6 of us." The elders, including Feng Ming, sat behind the 6 of them and transferred their spiritual power into the bodies of Master Shenyuan and the 5 peak masters with their arms. The spirit radiant star formation's curtain of light became more and more solid. After the black ray crashed into it a few times, it still could not escape. It could not help but dive down in a fluster, looking like it was going to kill someone. When the black ray rushed down, it realized that other than the people who set up the array, there was also a tan girl sitting on the green stone slab eating a bun. Beside her, there was an ugly bird pecking at the bun and eating it. It could not help but be a little dumbfounded. Actually, this matter was not bad. Yun Chujio was really heartless as she thought about it that way. The treasure did not belong to her, so why should she get involved? She still had 2 buns left from what Feng Ming had given her, so she ran to the side with Little Black to eat the buns. Chapter 165, This damn thing wants to kill me. The black ray felt that it had received a great insult. This human and this bird are looking down on me. Can't you see those idiots trying their best to trap me? Why are you still in the mood to eat buns? Are you that brave? In a fit of anger, the black ray headed toward Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio never expected that the dark ray would come toward her, and from the looks of it, it was going to kill her. Hence, she jumped up and out with a roar. Help! Help! It's trying to kill someone. This damn thing is going to kill me. Hurry up and save me. You were released by me, yet you repay kindness with enmity. You shameless bastard, you actually want to kill me. Am a good for nothing without any spiritual power. Don't you think that it would be unfair to kill me? Yun Chujio shouted as she fled across the square. The dark ray chased after her relentlessly and seemed to have found some fun. It could have caught up to her in an instant, but it kept a distance that was neither too far nor too close to play with Yun Chujio. Master Shenyuan and the others were worried that Yun Chujio would be in trouble, but they were also afraid that the dark ray was luring the tiger away from the mountain. Once they withdrew their hands to save Yun Chujio, it would take the opportunity to break out of the spirit radiant star formation. Master Shenyuan frowned. Send 10 people to help Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio, who was running away with her head in her hands, could not help but feel a slight warmth in her heart. Although there were many dregs in the spirit radiance sect, Master Shenyuan was still not bad. When the dark ray saw that another 10 people had come to catch it, it did not care at all. It seemed to be even more excited, so everyone's faces stiffened as they watched the scene in front of them. The 10 elders jumped up and down to capture the ray. While the dark ray dodged, it continued to chase after Yun Chujio. After a full hour of commotion, Yun Chujio was furious. Fuck! You unspeakable thing! Don't you just want to kill me? Come and kill me! Even if I die, I won't spare you. I'll transform into a fierce ghost to pester you every day. Although Yun Chujio said so, all the spiritual power in her body was gathered in her right hand. Once the dark light really made a move, it would take the risk of revealing its secret to strike her. I don't believe that other than me and Little Black, there are still people who aren't afraid of being struck by lightning. The dark light clearly did not expect Yun Chujio to suddenly stop running and even dare to threaten it. It hovered in front of Yun Chujio, seemingly wavering. At that moment, the 10 elders gathered around. The black ray seemed to be a little restless and the light on its body dimmed a little. No one noticed that a white light that was as thin as a needle separated from the black ray's body and hid between Yun Chujio's brows. Yun Chujio was prepared to strike the black ray with lightning. Who would have thought that this thing could employ tricks? After the white light disappeared between Yun Chujio's brows, the dark ray completely dissipated and fell onto the green stone slab with a thud. It turned out to be a pitch-black short stick that was about 1.5 feet long. Elder Chu was the first to jump over and pick up the stick. Ha! I never thought that I'd be able to see an immortal weapon in this lifetime. No, that's not right. Why doesn't this black stick have any spiritual energy? It looks more like a rolling pin. What's going on? Everyone was shocked and gathered around. Master Xianyuan took the stick from Elder Chu and examined it carefully. He realized that it was just an ordinary stick made of black iron. What was going on? Everyone looked at each other in confusion. This stick was shining brightly before. How did it become a dull mortal artifact? Chapter 166, Yun Chujio. Everyone was dumbfounded, and only Yun Chujio was feeling proud of herself. She deserved it. I said to take advantage of this easy to obtain and highly rewarding situation. Who knew it was so easy for me? Although they did not know what was hidden between her eyebrows, it was definitely not simple. In the end, they were still doing her a favor. This feeling of everyone losing, me winning alone was too satisfying, okay? Although this fellow was feeling proud in her heart, she had an expression of disbelief on her face. Just now, this stick was still chasing after me. How did it suddenly become a rolling pin? The corners of everyone's eyes twitched. Needless to say, Yun Chujio's words were quite appropriate. This stick was really not much different from a rolling pin. However, everyone felt that something was strange. Just a moment ago, this stick was still awe-inspiring. How did it become a rolling pin in the next moment? Master Xianyuan looked at the sky. After all this trouble, the sun was starting to rise from the east. He frowned and said, "First, stick this stick with a confinement talisman and then put it into the spirit tool pavilion. We'll investigate when we have time." Master Xianyuan paused at this point and looked at Yun Chujio. There was a conflicted expression on his face, as if there were some words that he could not say. Everyone was puzzled. What was wrong with the sect master? Feng Ming was shocked. Could it be that the sect master was going to blame junior sister Little Jiu? Yun Chujio's heart also sank. If the sect master really wanted to punish her, she would say that she was not the one who pried up the green stone slab, and that she was not the one who dug up the soil. What right did he have to punish her? Right. If he wanted to punish her, he would say so. Master Xianyuan pondered for a long time before finally continuing. When the successive leaders of the Spirit Radiance sect passed on the throne, they would pass on a verbal order from the founder of the Spirit Radiance sect, Patriarch Linghua. That is, if any of the Linghua disciples were to discover the secret of the Southern Jade Square, that person would be his successor disciple. After Master Xianyuan finished speaking, there was no reaction from the crowd for a long time. They understood every word that the sect leader said. However, they could not put two and two together. Suddenly, Feng Ming cried out in surprise, "Heavens! Sect leader, do you mean that junior sister Little Jiu is now the personal disciple of our Spirit Radiance sect's founder, Patriarch Linghua?" Master Xianyuan smiled bitterly and nodded. Boom! The elders finally reacted. They could not believe their ears. Elder Chu counted with his fingers. We are the 10th generation disciples of the Spirit Radiance sect. If the Tan girl is the personal disciple of the founder, then she is the second generation disciple. We can't even be considered as great-great-grandchildren. Sect master, are you kidding me? Xiao Pan's his old face turned red. He could not accept the fact that this Tan girl who did not have any spiritual power had suddenly become an elder with an extremely high seniority. Master Xianyuan smiled bitterly and nodded. For a moment, he also wanted to hide this verbal order, but he decided against it. Patriarch Linghua must have had his reasons for doing so. Yun Chujia's heart was practically bubbling with joy. What did it mean to become rich overnight? What did it mean to have a piece of pie falling from the sky? What did it mean to walk a dog, it defecating and having luck fall into your arms? Ha ha ha. She, Yun Chujio, was finally going to stand out and glorify her ancestors. All of you scums, tremble. This fellow had long since selectively forgotten that it was not her who pried up the stone slab and that it was not her who dug up the soil. The 10th generation sect master of the Spirit Radiance sect, Xianyuan Changkong, greets Master Yun. Master Xianyuan respectfully bowed to Yun Chujio. When the others saw Master Xianyuan did that, although they were not convinced, they did not dare to be negligent. Greeting Master Yun. Cough cough. Yun Chujio coughed dryly. Everyone. Children. Please stand up. Chapter 167, As long as this little ancestor agrees, children. Children. The corners of everyone's mouths twitched, and the blue veins on the foreheads of some of the short-tempered elders bulged. This was simply absurd, too absurd. When they thought about how they would have to bow and greet the Tan girl every time they saw her in the future, the elders were on the verge of breaking down. Sect Master, although this is the verbal instruction of the founding ancestor. This. Everything has to be flexible. Not only is Yun Chujio young and inexperienced, the most important thing is that she doesn't have any spirit energy at all. If the other sects were to know that our Spirit Radiance sect has such an ancestor, they would definitely laugh their heads off. That's right. Even if Yun Chujia's spiritual power isn't high, we can use pills and spiritual stones to increase her cultivation level. However, she can't cultivate at all. She's like mud that can't be supported by a wall. Sect leader, if it really doesn't work, we can give Yun Chujio some other compensation, such as inner sect disciples and spiritual stones. If there really is such a little ancestor, we won't be able to hold our heads up when we go out. Yun Chujio secretly pursed her lips. Did they think she was stupid? No matter how many spirit stones there were, how could they compare to the position of the Grand Retired Emperor of the Spirit Radiance sect? She was definitely going to be the little ancestor. Little Xianyuan, since everyone is so unconvinced, then let's just forget about it. There's no need to give me any spirit stones as compensation. Let's just pretend that nothing happened. In any case, Master Linghua won't come to your dreams in the middle of the night to scold you, nor will he send down some heavenly punishment to punish unfilial disciples. It's really nothing. Yun Chujio said with her small hands behind her back. She did not care. Little Xianyuan. Master Xuanyuan's face stiffened. This title seemed to date back to when he was a child hundreds of years ago. This little girl was really a trickster. It was obvious that she was taking a step back in order to advance. Master Xianyuan was in a difficult position. He could not disobey Master Linghua's verbal order, but most of the elders present had a strong sense of resistance. If he got Yun Chujio to take the position of little ancestor, she probably would not be able to convince the public. What should he do? Sect Master, although we can't disobey the verbal orders of Patriarch Linghua, this matter has been going on for 10,000 years. Even the Patriarch wouldn't have thought that the person who would discover the secret 10,000 years later would be a little girl without spiritual power. Why don't we compromise? If Yun Chujio can be ranked in the top 10 in the new disciple trial 1 year later, then well acknowledge her identity as the little ancestor Yun. If she can't be ranked, then well give her a spot as an inner disciple, well let her peacefully spend the rest of her life in our Spirit Radiance sect. Elder Xiao said with a frown. As soon as Elder Xiao finished speaking, the elders who held opposing opinions expressed their agreement. Sect Master, Elder Xiao's idea isn't bad. We also think that this is a good way to handle it. These elders thought to themselves. Yun Chujiu, a good-for-nothing without any spirit energy, wanted to be ranked in the top 10. That was simply wishful thinking. This way, they could not only shut her mouth, but also prevent Spirit Radiance sect from becoming a laughingstock. It was truly a very good idea. Master Xianyuan frowned. Getting into the top 10 within a year was clearly just to make things difficult for Yun Chujiu. It was simply impossible for Yun Chujiu to achieve. Just as Master Xianyuan was about to say something, Yun Chujiu spoke. Little Xianyuan, you don't have to make things difficult for me. I will agree to it. When the time comes, this little ancestor will definitely make you completely convinced. However, little Xianyuan, you have to agree to 3 additional conditions. Little ancestor, please speak. Master Xianyuan was truly speechless. This little girl had entered the character too quickly, right? Always thinking of herself as little ancestor. Her skin was extraordinarily thick. Chapter 168, 3 Conditions. The first condition is that I can enter and leave the sect's library as I please. The second condition is that the rolling pin belongs to me. The third condition is that you give me a gold medal to exempt me from death. Yun Chujiu said with a smile. Everyone thought that Yun Chujiu would ask for spirit stones or medicinal pills, but they did not expect her to raise such 3 conditions. The first condition was not a big deal, but the second and third conditions were a bit trickier to deal with. Although that black stick looked like an ordinary stick now, how could the thing left behind by Patriarch Linghua just be an ordinary thing? As for the third condition, it was even more ridiculous. If Yun Chujiu betrayed the sect, then with the so-called get-out-of-jail-free token would come to her aid. Would that not allow one to do whatever they wanted? Master Xianyuan pondered for a moment. Little ancestor Yun, I can agree to these 3 conditions, but I also have 3 conditions. Little Xianyuan, speak. Yun Chujiu said nonchalantly, but inwardly, she cursed at the old fox. First, before your identity is officially confirmed, I hope that little ancestor Yun will not reveal anything to anyone. Of course, no one here will leak this matter and everything will be the same as before. Little ancestor Yun is still a servant of our Spirit Radiance sect. Master Xuanyuan's words were deeply appreciated by Elder Xiao and the others. When they thought of bowing to such a little girl, they almost broke down. Yun Chujiu nodded. Sect leader, I agree to this condition. When Master Xianyuan saw that Yun Chujiu immediately entered the role, he could not help but think highly of Yun Chujiu in his heart. Then, he said, second, our Spirit Radiance sect doesn't have the so-called death exemption token. However, as the sect leader, I promise you that as long as you don't do anything that betrays the sect, I can exempt you from a punishment. Yun Chujiu rolled her eyes. I also agree to this condition. Thirdly, if the sect is in danger, little ancestor Yun, please consider the bigger picture and help us. As soon as Master Xianyuan finished speaking, everyone's faces froze. Sect leader, have you been kicked in the head by a spirit beast? How could such a useless snack without spirit energy help them? The crowd looked at Yun Chujiu again and was even more furious. They saw Yun Chujiu touching her chin and lowering her head in deep thought, as if she was really considering whether to agree to this condition. They thought to themselves that they had seen thick-skinned people, but they had never seen such a shameless person. Yun Chujiu thought for a moment and then said seriously, well, as your elder, if it doesn't hurt my life, I will help you. Everyone was so angry that they almost fainted. Yun Chujiu, do you still have any sense of shame? Who do you think you are? You dug out a broken stick, and you really became a genius from that thrash you were. You really think you've become the Thigh of Spirit Radiance sect. You even said that if it didn't harm your life, then you would help. You really think too highly of yourself. Even if we were beaten to death, we wouldn't ask for your help. The corner of Master Xuanyuan's eyes twitched. The reason why he mentioned this condition was just in case. After all, Grandmaster Linghua would not leave such a verbal order for no reason. However, no matter how he looked at it, Yun Chujio did not seem like a person who could save Spirit Radiance sect from danger. Alright, since that's the case, then according to what Elder Shao said, if little ancestor Yun can be ranked in the top 10 in the new disciple trials in a year's time, then we will acknowledge your identity as little ancestor Yun. If you can't be ranked, we'll also give you a spot as an inner disciple. Well, pretend that what happened today never happened. Master Shenyuan announced his final decision. Chapter 169, Little Noodle or Little Stick. Yun Chujio took the black stick and carried it with a valiant spirit. Yes, she carried it away. Fuck. Why is this damn broken stick so heavy? Yun Chujio used all her strength to barely carry it and staggered away with the stick. Master Shenyuan and the others looked at Yun Chujio's back and the corners of their eyes twitched. No matter how they looked at this Yun Chujio, it just didn't make sense. Could Patriarch Linghua have made a mistake? A few elders filled the soil back in and then carefully covered the green stone slab on it again. Seeing that there were no traces left, they all dispersed. Feng Ming was stunned for a long time before he also left in a daze. Yun Chujio cursed as she walked, fuck. I'm just looking for trouble for myself. Such a broken stick is not only useless, it's also so heavy. I might as well throw it here. After saying that, Yun Chujio actually threw the black stick on the ground and then hopped toward the dormitory. After Yun Chujio walked for a distance, Little Black cried out in alarm, Master! Master! Quickly turn around. The stick has become a spirit. The stick has become a spirit. Yun Chujio was already mentally prepared. She turned around and saw the black stick jumping toward her. Yun Chujio curled her lips. If you want to follow me and have a good life, then stop being so narrow-minded. Otherwise, I'll give you to little Shenyuan and have him lock you in the spirit tool pavilion so that you can sleep all day. The stick leaned forward a few times as if it was nodding. Yun Chujio said with disdain, it's fine if you look ugly, but you're overweight. Hurry up and become lighter. Otherwise, you can hop behind me. The black stick paused for a moment and then flew into Yun Chujio's hand. The corner of Yun Chujio's mouth curled up. It was indeed much lighter. At least you're sensible. Don't worry, Master. One day, I'll let you regain your former glory and become the #1 rolling pin in the world. The black stick trembled a few times and then stopped moving. Yes, Master. I have to give you a good name. Let me think. Yun Chujio held the stick with one hand and touched her chin with the other. Little Black looked at the black stick sympathetically. With the master's level of naming, the name she gave would not be any better. Actually, it's not bad for you to be called Little Black, but it's a pity that Little Black already has this name. Let me think again. Yes, I have it. You shall be called Little Flame. The black stick trembled even more violently. Yun Chujio narrowed her eyes. What? You don't like the name Little Flame? Then do you want to be called Little Noodle or Little Stick? The trembling of the black stick suddenly stopped. Yun Chujio nodded her head in satisfaction. That's right. A wise man submits to circumstances. You shouldn't try to go against my authority. Otherwise, you'll only end up in an even worse situation. Little Black, I'll leave Little Flame's education to you from now on. Little Black agreed very happily. Although it was only a stick, this little lord also had a little brother. Yun Chujio took the stick and brought Little Black back to the dormitory. As it was early in the morning, they did not meet many people along the way. Although everyone was puzzled as to why Yun Chujio was jumping around with a rolling pin, no one went forward to ask. Yun Chujio jumped to the dormitory and muttered, "Anyway, I've applied for leave, so don't waste it. I can use this time to catch up on my sleep." After washing up, she took off her coat and lay on the bed. Not long after, she fell asleep. Yun Chujio let out a light snore. A white light sneakily shot out from between Yun Chujio's brows and went straight for the black stick that was placed at the door. Chapter 170, The Wolf in Sheep's Clothing. Just as the white light was about to reach the black stick, Little Black flew over from the side and threw a purple fireball at the white light. The white light obviously did not expect Little Black to be able to release spiritual power, and it was a fireball with the power of lightning. In a hurry, it wanted to hide between Yun Chujio's eyebrows again. Unexpectedly, Yun Chujio, who was supposed to be sleeping, suddenly sat up and shot a bolt of lightning at it. The white light was shocked. Was it because it had been sleeping for too long? Why could a young fire-breathing crow shoot out a fireball with the power of thunder and lightning? Why could a trash without spiritual power shoot thunder and lightning? Plus, it was purple. Yun Chujio finally saw the true appearance of the white light. It was a very small silver dragon with gleaming scales which made it look like white light. "Are you the spirit of the rolling pin?" Yun Chujio covered her brows with one hand and prepared to attack with the other. The silver dragon raised its neck and opened its mouth to speak in the soft voice of a little girl, "That's right. Why aren't you bowing when you see a senior? Little Wawa's disciples and grand disciples are getting worse." Yun Chujio was shocked. "You're a female?" This sentence seemed to have touched the little silver dragon's sore spot. It bared its fangs and brandished its claws as it shouted, "So what if I'm a female?" "You're female too." Yun Chujio's heart was intrigued and she probed, "Could it be that it's because you're a female that Patriarch Linghua buried you under the stone?" How did you know?" The little silver dragon was obviously shocked. "I figured so. Could it be that ancestral master Linghua was afraid that after a long period of time, he would develop feelings for you and fall in love with you? That's why he simply buried you under the green stone slab and waited for me to appear." Yun Chujio's mind was wide open as she spoke with great joy. You're talking nonsense. Little Hua isn't that kind of improper person. It's just that I'm mean, and little Hua is young, so I can't unleash my full power. Moreover, my body is a rod, and little Hua uses a sword. So before I ascended, he buried me under the green stone slab, waiting for the fated person. The silver dragon glared at Yun Chujio, obviously very dissatisfied with her arrangement of the former master. "Little Flame, you're wrong to say that. It's natural for men and women to love each other. How is that impolite? Don't worry, they'll definitely find a male rolling pin for you in the future so that you two can pair up." Yun Chujio winked at the little white dragon. "Little Flame. Humph. This rod has a name. It is the ninth heaven silver dragon wind fire rod, not something vulgar like Little Flame." The silver dragon was obviously very dissatisfied with Yun Chujio's name. Previously, it could only command the black rod to do some simple actions between Yun Chujio's brows. Otherwise, it would have protested long ago. "Little Flame, do you think you have the ability to negotiate with me? If my guess is correct, you must have encountered some kind of trouble. Either your spiritual power has been greatly reduced, or you've suffered a serious injury. Or, you must have made some kind of oath to my master. Otherwise, how could a mere stone trap you? Now, it's a matter of whether I want you or not. If you don't know what's good for you, they'll send you back to Little Xianyuan." Yun Chujio said with a sneer. The silver dragon clearly did not expect Yun Chujio to be so difficult to deal with. At first, it thought that Yun Chujio was the most useless among those people, so it was best to get rid of her. Therefore, it hid between Yun Chujio's brows. Who would have thought that this was a freaking wolf in sheep's clothing, and it was also a wolf who ate people without spitting out their bones. The silver dragon looked at the little black bird who was staring with its green bean eyes, and then looked at Yun Chujio, who had a cold smile on her face. With a sobbing voice, it said, "Then what exactly do you want?" Chapter 171. The man in red. Yun Chujio looked at the small silver dragon with a faint smile. "What do we want? Were you released by me, or did you avoid falling into the demon's claws because of me? Yet, you're repaying kindness with enmity. At that time, you wanted to shoot me to death, but later on, you wanted to use me. Tell me, don't you think you've tarnished the reputation of those in the rod world? Do you have the face of a rod and the heart of a beast? Do you really not care about your reputation?" The little silver dragon had obviously never encountered such a situation before. Its head immediately drooped down and its claws twitched. "Right, I'm sorry. I just don't want to lose my freedom." "Freedom? Only those who are strong enough have freedom. Even if you had rushed out of the Spirit Radiance sect at that time, do you think that you'd have freedom? Anyone who cultivates with a divine weapon like yours will fight over it until their head breaks and blood flows. Otherwise, why would my master bury you? Isn't it because he's afraid of causing a bloodbath because of you?" Yun Chujio said with a serious expression. The silver dragon kept nodding. What you said makes sense. Then, how can I become stronger? You definitely can't do it like this. Otherwise, why is it that you've been buried underground for 10,000 years but still can't break through Little Shenyuan and the others' Spirit Radiant Star formation? However, I do have a way to make you stronger. Yun Chujio stopped speaking at this point. The little silver dragon urged anxiously, "What way? Tell me." Sigh. "You might not believe me even if I tell you, so it's better not to say it. Forget it, Little Black. You should step aside and let Little Flame go out to explore. It's not a big deal. At most, it'll just be kept as a weapon. Of course, there might also be someone who felt that the material of this rod was not bad and put it back into the crafting furnace to forge a new weapon. When that time comes, Little Flame, you'll be completely free," Yun Chujio said indifferently. The little silver dragon was scared to tears. Sob. "Don't. If I enter the crafting furnace, I'll die, then I won't be me anymore. I beg you, quickly tell me the way." Sigh, "I'm just a soft-hearted person. Alright, seeing that you're so pitiful, I'll forget about the past and help you. Actually, the best way is for me to reluctantly accept you as a weapon. Firstly, I'm a low-key person, so no one will suspect that I'm holding a good weapon. Secondly, you also know that I hold a position similar to that of the retired emperor in the Spirit Radiant Star Formation sect. When the time comes, if I have any good things, they'll naturally come first. And when the time comes, they'll get some heavenly and earthly treasures to supplement you. Wouldn't your cultivation level go up? Third. As you have seen, Little Black and I are both great geniuses that rarely appear in 10,000 years. As the saying goes, you are the product of your environment. If you follow us, how can you not be powerful? Fourth, I'm the kindest person. I definitely won't mistreat you. In the future, I might even find you a male rod. When the time comes, you'll cultivate into human form and make a few more small rods. What a beautiful thing. Fifthly, I'm the disciple of the little Huahua that you mentioned. In the future, when I ascend, you can still meet your little Huahua." Yun Chujia's smile was very gentle, as if a spring breeze had completely fooled the innocent little silver dragon. The little silver dragon said excitedly, "All right. I'll acknowledge you as my master. Let's form a contract." Yun Chujio showed a forced expression. "All right. Then you better hurry up, lest I regret it later." When the silver dragon heard that, it quickly rushed into the body of the black staff. Then, Yun Chuzhou bit her middle finger and dripped blood on the top of the black staff. After Yun Chuzhou did as she was told, a ray of dark light shot through the roof of Yun Chujia's house and into the sky. Success! Although the dark light was dazzling, fortunately, it only lasted for a short moment, so it did not attract anyone's attention. Those who saw it thought that their eyes were blurred. However, in the clouds, there happened to be an air transportation spiritual tool passing by. The decorations inside were extremely luxurious. Other than the man who controlled the air transportation spiritual tool, there was a red-clothed man lying on the soft couch. His long black hair was casually scattered behind him and he was playing with a skull in his hand. It was obviously an extremely terrifying thing, but when the man did it, it made people feel that it was pleasing to the eye. He was as lazy as a painting. After the man in red saw the flash of black ray, the corners of his mouth curled up. An immortal tool acknowledging its master. Interesting. Chapter 172, Rolling Pin, Young Master, shall we go down and take a look? The man controlling the air transportation spiritual tool asked for instructions. No need. The main business is more important. Come to the Spirit Radiance sect again when you have time. The red-clothed man exerted a little strength in his hand and the skull in his hand turned into powder. Then, a new skull appeared in his hand. Yun Chuzhou did not know that she had already been targeted by someone. At that moment, she had a look of despair on her face. When Yun Chuzhou saw that she had successfully formed the contract, she did not have the time to praise herself in her heart when she saw the rolling pin dancing in the room. Little Flame, we've already formed the contract. Shouldn't you reveal your true form? Yun Chuzhou asked the rolling pin expectantly. Master, this is my true form. How awe-inspiring. The rolling pin flew a few rounds in front of Yun Chuzhou smugly. Yun Chuzhou looked at the 1.5-foot-long rolling pin. Although there was a dark light flashing around her, she really could not consider it awe-inspiring. She coughed dryly and asked, Little Flame, didn't you say that you're the 9th heaven silver dragon wind fire rod? Shouldn't your true form be very awe-inspiring? The rolling pin paused in mid-air for a moment, then it turned its body longer and longer. Master, is that what you mean? I can turn into a very long form. Does that mean you change the length of your body whenever you want? Yun Chuzhou looked at Xiaohua expectantly. Of course I can. However, I can only unleash my full power when I transform into my true form. Yun Chuzhou was so angry that she began to twitch. If she could not unleash her full power, it would be useless even if she turned into a telephone pole. She finally understood why Ancestral Master Linghua did not care about using this so-called immortal artifact. It was too damn embarrassing. A vivid image immediately appeared in front of Yun Chujia's eyes. On the dueling platform, the other party took out a majestic large saber, and then she took out a rolling pin. Just thinking about it made her embarrassed. However, Yun Chuzhou changed her mind. The rolling pin also had the advantage of a rolling pin. At the very least, it could make the other party underestimate the opponent. Moreover, no one would have thought that a rolling pin was a so-called immortal artifact. Alright, then you can maintain this state. However, when you're outside, you have to hide the dark light so as not to attract other people's attention. Yun Chujia's ability to accept things was quick, so she decided to let the rolling pin be. After Yun Chuzhou successfully abducted the rolling pin, she yawned twice. You two play, I'll catch up on my sleep. Yun Chuzhou fell asleep very quickly. The little black bird and Little Flame looked at each other, then turned their heads in tacit understanding. What the hell? Humph. Little Black thought to itself. It thought that it had taken in a little brother, but it did not expect it to be a little girl and a useless rolling pin. Just thinking about it made it embarrassed. Little Flame looked down on the little black bird even more. It was ugly. How could it be as smart as it was? On top of that, it wanted to take the rolling pin in as a little brother. In its dreams, Yun Chujio slept until the sun set. She washed up briefly, then took out the food that she had borrowed from the big kitchen from her storage ring and called for the little black bird to eat. Before Little Black could fly over, the rolling pin floated over. "Master, Little Flame also wants to eat." Little Black hugged its wings and rolled on the ground laughing. "Ha ha ha. I'm dying of laughter. You, a rolling pin, want to eat? Do you have a mouth? Do you have a stomach? Do you have a butt?" There seemed to be green smoke coming out of the rolling pin and it hit Little Black. Little Black quickly flapped its short wings and landed on Yun Chujio's leg. "Master, master, save me. The rolling pin is going to kill me." Chapter 173, Gluttonous Snake, Cough Cough, Little Flame, Stop. Although Little Black's words aren't pleasant to hear, I'm also very curious. "How are you going to eat?" Yun Chujio held back her laughter and asked the rolling pin. The small silver dragon floated out from the rolling pin. "Master, I'm the one eating, not my main body." Yun Chujio felt that this was more like it. However, how much could such a small dragon eat? One bun was probably enough for it to eat several meals. However, after 15 minutes, Yun Chujio was no longer calm. What the fuck? What kind of dragon was this? It was simply a gluttonous snake. Although the small silver dragon was small in size, it was very gluttonous. It had already eaten 10 buns, but it actually did not have the slightest intention of being full. Cough cough. Little Flame, although this bun tastes good, eating too much will cause indigestion. "Master, I've been hungry for 10,000 years. Can't you let me have a full meal?" the silver dragon said aggrievedly. Yun Chujio touched her nose. "Alright, forget I said anything." At worst, she could just go to the big kitchen and borrow food. The silver dragon finally expressed that it was full before Yun Chujio collapsed. Little Black said disdainfully, "No wonder it looks like a rolling pin. It turns out that it's a good-for-nothing." The silver dragon returned to Little Flame's body with a whoosh and smacked the little black bird. Yun Chujio knew that nothing would really happen to the two of them, so she ignored them and went back to the house to clean up the mess. Although the fireball and the lightning that Little Black shot out were controlled, they still inevitably made a mess in the house. She was lucky that the house didn't burn down. "Junior sister Little Jiu, are you home?" Feng Ming's voice came from outside the courtyard. "Senior brother Feng Ming, I'm here. Come in quickly." Yun Chujio replied and left the house. Feng Ming saw Yun Chujio and scratched his head unnaturally. "Well, little ancestor Yun, can I continue to call you junior sister Little Jiu?" Yun Chujio bared her teeth. "We're one and the same. You'll always be my senior brother Feng Ming." Feng Ming chuckled. "I knew that junior sister isn't the kind of person who sticks to etiquette. The sect leader asked me to tell you something. If anyone asks about what happened last night, you can say that." Yun Chujio nodded repeatedly. She thought to herself, Master Shenyuan is indeed an old fox. How cunning. Not long after Feng Ming left, Yun Chuzi and the others came back from work. Everyone went straight to Yun Chujio's courtyard. "Little Jiu, are you alright? What did you find in the square?" Yun Chulu could not hide his words. The moment he entered the courtyard, he started shouting. "I'm fine. I'm fine. I just found a few green stone slabs with very tiny holes. Senior brother Feng Ming has already reported it to the sect leader. The sect leader has already sent someone to repair it, and he even gave me permission to enter the library to read books in the future." Yun Chujio told her what Feng Ming had told her. "Really? That's great. I told you that our little Jiu is smart. She definitely won't be in a daze on the square for no reason." Yun Chusi's face was full of pride. Qing Si looked at Yun Chuzhou suspiciously. Little Jiu, why would the very tiny holes on the green stone slabs alert the sect leader? Qing Si, you don't know this. The Southern Jade Square was built by the founder of our Spirit Radiance sect, Patriarch Linghua. Naturally, there shouldn't be any damage. Those tiny holes were created by a type of stone-eating ant. If we don't take action soon, the entire Southern Jade Square will be destroyed. Yun Chuzhou said nonsense with a straight face. Chapter 174, Yun Chujia's method. With Yun Chujia's explanation, everyone nodded their heads. No wonder the sect leader rewarded Little Jiu. Little Jiu had indeed made a great contribution. Yun Chuzi took out the dinner that he had brought for Yun Chuzhou from his storage bag. Yun Chuzhou took it with a smile. Everyone chatted for a while more before Yun Chuzi and the others left. Yun Chuzhou saw the rolling pin flying toward the stone table and quickly put the food into her storage ring. The rolling pin awkwardly turned around and went to play with Little Black. Yun Chuzhou cursed in her heart. She did not know how good this rolling pin was, but it was truly a foodie. The next day, the news of Yun Chuzhou receiving the reward spread throughout the entire Spirit Radiance sect. Everyone felt that Yun Chuzhou had really lucked out. One had to know that the access to the library was limited according to one's status. Servant disciples could only borrow books on the first level, but this Yun Chuzhou had suddenly obtained the same access as the elders. It was really enviable. Those who came to the cafeteria to eat could not help but say a few words of jealousy. Fortunately, Yun Chuzhou was a big-hearted person. One could say whatever they wanted to say, and she would just ignore you. When everyone saw that Yun Chuzhou was not affected by it, it became pointless to talk about it. After a few days, no one brought it up anymore. Yun Chuzhou was a little troubled. Although she had access to the library, she did not have the time. She had 3 meals a day, and sometimes she had to cook supper. How could she have the time to read books? Hence, this fellow started thinking. One day, when everyone was having lunch, Yun Chuzhou walked to Elder Huang and said seriously, "Elder Huang, I have a suggestion. I don't know if it's appropriate." Elder Huang smiled. "What suggestion? Just say it." "Elder Huang, why are the staff in the big kitchen not welcomed?" Yun Chuzhou asked curiously. Elder Huang's face was very awkward. Yun Chu quickly tugged at Yun Chujia's sleeve. Yun Chuzhou winked at her. "Sigh, our spiritual power is too low, that's why it's like this." Elder Huang sighed. "Then why is our spiritual power too low?" Yun Chuzhou continued to ask. This time, without waiting for Elder Huang to speak, Ho Tian said, "Firstly, our aptitude is not as good as the others. Secondly, we are busy all day, how will we have time to cultivate?" Yun Chuzhou snapped her fingers. "That's right. The crux of the problem lies here. There might be some slight differences in aptitude, but the crux is that we don't have time to cultivate. If we have the time and the correct cultivation method, I believe that our Middle Peak kitchen isn't inferior to anyone from any department." Mei Li said in a muffled voice, "Little girl, do you even need to say that? The main thing is that we really don't have time to cultivate. If we cook any meal too late, it would be bad." Yun Chuzhou bared her little white teeth. "Elder Huang. Everyone. I have a good idea. It won't delay work, but it can also free up time for us to cultivate." "What idea?" Everyone's eyes lit up as they looked at Yun Chuzhou with hope. Yun Chuzhou straightened her small body and said with her hands behind her back, "Although some words may not sound good on the surface, I have to say it today. Although everyone is working, it's inevitable that there will be times when they are sneaky and cunning." "Why is that?" When Yun Chuzhou said that, some people could not help but feel a little guilty. Everyone was lazy at some point, and sometimes it was inevitable that they would be lazy. This is because of the big pot of rice. To put it bluntly, it's just to make up the numbers. No matter how much you do, it will be the same. My method is to divide us into 3 groups and work in turns. Bei Yuan was the first to react. Little Jiu, you mean that one group can work while the other 2 groups can cultivate? That's right. That's exactly what I mean. This way, everyone can rest for 2 days after a day of work. Of course, if everyone's enthusiasm is aroused, they can also be divided into 4 groups and 5 groups, then everyone will have more time to rest. What do you think of my idea? Chapter 175, Envy, Jealousy, and Hatred. Everyone did not speak for a long time. Yun Chujio touched her nose. Could it be that it was not possible? After a while, the dumbfounded people seemed to have woken up from a dream and burst out with great joy. Mei Li grinned and laughed loudly. You Tan girl. You have so many wicked ideas. Not bad. Not bad. Old Huang, I think this idea will work. Yes, this idea is brilliant. If there are no special matters, 1/3 of the people can be on duty, just enough to cope with the normal 3 meals a day. There will definitely be no problems. When I think of having 2 days of rest, not only am I willing to cover a 3-person job, I would be willing to take on 5. Yes, this way we can have time to cultivate properly. Let's see if those people still dare to look down on us. Good. Very good. Very good. Little Jiu, you're such a smart child. No wonder you got the sect leader's reward. Elder Huang was very happy. With this, not only do we have the time to cultivate, but we also have more time to rest than any other department in the servant department. Over time, I don't believe that we still can't beat them. Yun Chujio smiled mischievously. Oh, everyone stop praising me. I just want to be able to slack off openly. Ha! When Yun Chujio said this, everyone laughed as well. The atmosphere in the kitchen was extremely harmonious. At that moment, Manager Ding walked in from outside. Everyone's laughter stopped abruptly, and the atmosphere became very subtle. Manager Ding's face was gloomy as he glanced around. He snorted coldly and walked out. Old Huang, what kind of background does this Manager Ding have to make you so afraid of him? Yun Chujio asked curiously. Old Huang sighed. Our small temple really can't accommodate this great Buddha. Manager Ding's brother is Elder Qi's true disciple, Ding Lang. The status of a true disciple is quite high, so how can we afford to offend him? Moreover, Elder Qi is an elder of our pill refining room, so we really can't afford to offend him. Yun Chujio was stunned and cursed in her heart. It's Elder Qi again. If it was another elder, it would be easier to handle. She used her status as the little ancestor that she had yet to settle down to suppress him. However, she did not see Elder Qi on the square that day, so he did not know her identity. It seemed that this matter had to be planned meticulously. Everyone, don't bother about him. Come, let's split up the groups first. Yun Chujio greeted everyone warmly. The atmosphere in the big kitchen became lively again. Everyone started to discuss the matter of the groups. Very soon, Elder Huang divided everyone into 3 groups. He even very considerately divided the Yun siblings into 1 group. This way, they could have their rest time together. In the beginning, everyone was still a little worried. The number of people had suddenly decreased by 2/3. Whether the remaining people could handle it or not, this kind of worry soon disappeared. The potential of a person was endless. The people on duty worked very hard in order to win 2 days of rest and completed the work without any mistakes. Thus, the Middle Peak Kitchen set a precedent for the servants of the Spirit Radiance sect. 1 day of work, 2 days of rest. It was simply too nourishing, was it not? Gradually, the other servants' departments discovered this matter. The other 5 Peaks kitchens followed suit and began to take turns working. However, the other departments could not do it. Every kettle had its lid in those positions, and no one could replace each other. They could only look at the various peaks' kitchens with a face full of envy and hatred. As expected, what Yun Chujio said back then was true. Even if it was a bad place, once Yun Chujio went, it would become a good place. Chapter 176, I miss him so much. Yun Chujio had made a great contribution, and the people in the big kitchen were very grateful to her. She was a little celebrity in the Middle Peak Big Kitchen, so she did not need to do any work at all. She was just like a mascot. Yun Chujio was very obedient. Although everyone told her not to come to work, she still came to work on time. She felt that sometimes special treatment would inevitably cause dissatisfaction, so it was better to try to be like everyone else. Someone saw the rolling pin on her waist and asked curiously, "Little Jill, why is there a rolling pin on your waist? Why is it black?" "I picked it up at the back of the mountain. I thought it was quite fun, so I kept it. If there's nothing to do, they'll play with it," Yun Chujio said indifferently. She also wanted to keep the rolling pin in her storage ring, but after thinking about it, she still felt that it was inappropriate as it had its downsides. Therefore, she might as well keep it at her waist. After a few jokes, they no longer paid attention to the rolling pin. As Yun Chujio had more free time, the low-level demon beasts at the back of the mountain suffered. This girl had learned well. Since she did not want to build a fire at the back of the mountain, she would bring these demon beasts back and barbecue them in her own small courtyard. Yun Chuzi and the others often came to Yun Chujio's place to have a meal, so their days were very comfortable. In the evening, she counted with her fingers. It had been more than a month since the gigolo sucked her blood. Why had the gigolo not returned yet? Did he die? "Little Black, do you think something happened to the gigolo?" Yun Chujio sat in the courtyard and muttered. Little Black stared at her with his pizzazed eyes and asked in confusion, "Master, don't you hate that gigolo the most? Why are you worried about him?" Yun Chujio pouted. "Me? Worried about him? I'm worried that he's choking. I can't get rid of the grass in my dantian. If it weren't for that, I would have wanted that gigolo to choke." Little Black covered his mouth with his short wings and winked at Yun Chujio desperately. Yun Chujio was still talking non-stop. "Little Black, is your eye cramping? I'm worried about the gigolo. He's always pulling a long face like a donkey. I can't wait for him to die. He's always acting like I owe him 8 million taels of silver. He looks like he needs a beating. Let me tell you, if it weren't for the fact that I can't beat him, I would definitely beat him up and make him kneel on the ground and sing 'Conquer Me' all day long." Yun Chujio was still scolding happily when Little Black said in its mind, "Master, master. The gigolo is right behind you." Yun Chujio was shocked, but she did not turn around immediately. Instead, she laughed out loud. "Little Black, how was it? Did I scold Senior Brother Bird well? That sissy, a typical gigolo, can't compare the wise and mighty Prince Charming. My Prince Charming is so handsome. When my Prince Charming looks at me, my whole body goes numb and my heart itches. My Prince Charming is the bright moon in the sky. He is the wild grass on the ground. My Prince Charming is my white moonlight and the mosquito blood on the wall. By the way, I haven't seen my Prince Charming for a long time. I miss him to death. Sigh, I can't eat or sleep well now. I miss him all day long. If, at this moment, my Prince Charming appeared in front of me, I would definitely be very happy," Yun Chujio said as she shed a few tears. Little Black's face was filled with confusion. "Master, you're amazing. You're really too amazing." Her ability to invert black and white is truly unprecedented, one would never see it coming. It's just that I don't know if the malefic star will believe your nonsense. Chapter 177, you and I are severed. Yun Chujio tried her best to clear her name. She praised Di Biming so much that it made him sound extremely rare and precious. However, her saliva was almost dry after she said that. There was no reaction after that. Yun Chujio could only turn around in embarrassment. She then pretended to be pleasantly surprised and shouted, "Oh my God! Am I dreaming? Prince Charming, why are you here?" Di Biming looked at Yun Chujio with a malicious look. "Why don't you continue to lie? You wish for me to die, don't you? Then I'll kill you today." Yun Chujio looked innocent. "Prince Charming, why would you say that? Ah, do you think that what I said before was about you? Heavens, I was scolding Senior Brother Bird. Do you think that I'm a fool?" Di Biming was so angry that his eyes were red. He did not expect that black thing to think like that. If that was how she thought, then what was he doing? Yun Chujio saw that Di Biming was so angry that smoke was almost coming out of his head. She knew that this matter had blown up. An Een and An Foam looked at each other. They were so anxious that they stomped their feet. Their honorable sir had kept a straight face those few days. He could freeze people to death with it. He unexpectedly had an opportunity to drink blood and Yun Chujio happened to be there. The honorable sir would probably kill the tan girl. Should they stop him or stop her? If Yun Chujio was really killed, the honorable sir would definitely regret it. However, with their skills, they might not be able to stop him. Di Biming raised his hand. Yun Chujio had finished her thoughts. What should they do? An Een and An Foam were about to step forward to stop him. They did not expect Di Biming to grit his teeth and withdraw his hand. "Black thing. You have repeatedly offended me. Not only have I not sinned against you, I have even taught you cultivation techniques and gave you rings. I have even given you countless spirit fruits and delicacies. I did not expect you to speak sweet words to me in front of me, but slander me behind my back. From now on, you and I will be severed. I do not care about your blood." Di Biming felt so stifled that he could not breathe. However, he could not bring himself to kill Yun Chujio, so he turned around and was about to leave. Yun Chujio was stunned. She did not expect Di Biming to say such words. She felt that if she did not do something, she would definitely regret it in the future. Yun Chujio stepped forward and hugged Di Biming's waist. "Prince Charming. Prince Charming. I was wrong. Those words were indeed meant for you. But they were just words of anger. When I thought about how you haven't come to see me for such a long time, and how you might be entangled by some little fairy, my heart ached." Yun Chujio saw that Di Biming did not shake her off, so she knew that there was still a way. Thus, she said in tears, "Prince Charming, you still don't know me. I'm just a simple-minded fool. I say whatever comes to my mind. Some things can't be heard, but seen with my eyes. Don't you believe in your own charm? Why would I lie to you?" Di Biming frowned. What Black Thing said made sense. What woman would not be moved by such an outstanding man like him? Moreover, he was so good to Black Thing. Unless she was not sincere, why would she not like this body? "My Prince Charming, you haven't had dinner yet, right? I happen to have the wind-blade rabbit that I just hunted from the back of the mountain today. I'll roast some meat for you." Yun Chujio saw that the situation had taken a turn for the better, so she quickly started to roast the meat. An Foam and An Een also rushed forward to help. Ninth Miss was really a god. She was actually able to appease the Lord who was in a rage. TSK, when the Lord was angry, even the Hall Master and his wife could not stop him. They did not expect Ninth Miss to be persuaded with just a few words and a few drops of tears. She was really amazing. Chapter 178, You have brought this upon yourself. Yun Chujio felt guilty in her heart and started to work enthusiastically. In a short while, the fragrance of the roasted meat began to spread. Yun Chujio cut off a rabbit leg and handed it to Di Biming. He snorted and did not take it. Yun Chujio rolled her eyes and cut the rabbit leg into small pieces. Then, she picked it up with chopsticks and fed Di Biming. Prince Charming, I was wrong. Please accept my sincere apology. Di Biming thought for a moment and slowly opened his mouth. Yun Chujio was delighted and served him even more attentively. Prince Charming, try this piece. It has a little bit of muscle on it. It's really strong. Prince Charming, I helped you cool it down. It's not hot anymore. I'll feed you. Prince Charming, are you thirsty? Come, drink some water. Di Biming's expression softened a lot, but he was still very angry in his heart. His words were only limited to yes and silence. Seeing Di Biming like this, Yun Chujio rolled her eyes and took out her rolling pin. She started to show off. Prince Charming, I'll tell you a secret. Other than me and Little Black, no one else knows. After Di Biming saw the rolling pin, the corners of his eyes twitched. What the hell was this thing? It was a dark rolling pin. I dug it out from under Spirit Radiance Sect's Southern Jade Square. It was buried by Patriarch Linghua. If I can get into the top 10 in the trial 1 year from now, it'll be Spirit Radiance Sect's little ancestor Yun. Di Biming, Anfeng, and the others were dumbfounded. Anfeng might be protecting Yun Chujio in the dark, but there were many powerful figures in Spirit Radiance Sect. He did not dare to get too close to Southern Jade Square, so he did not know much of what happened that day. Yun Chujio told them everything in a cheerful manner. Then, she saw Di Biming and the other two looking dumbfounded. What? Something that had not been discovered for 10,000 years was discovered by her after one lesson. Was this ordinary-looking rolling pin an immortal artifact left behind by Patriarch Linghua? Or was it some ninth heaven silver dragon wind fire rod? Little ancestor Yun. Black Thing had become the true disciple of the founding patriarch of Spirit Radiance Sect. Was that not too ridiculous? Seeing that they did not quite believe it, Yun Chujio said straightforwardly, Little Flame, come out and let them take a look. This master will allow you to eat some roasted meat. Thus, the incident that destroyed Di Biming and the other two's worldview happened. A small silver dragon flew out from the pitch-black rolling pin and pounced toward the roasted meat on the stone table. I'll eat, I'll eat, I'll eat, I'll eat. The little black bird blinked its green bean eyes. Due to its mistake earlier, when it saw Little Flame starting to eat, it licked its beak and went over. Master, let me have some too. Yun Chujio glared at it and waved her hand. Little Black quickly began to eat as well. Anfeng pointed at the silver dragon that was eating furiously and stuttered, "TT, this is the spirit of the rolling pin? A spirit that can eat?" Yun Chujio nodded, yes. Have you seen such a weapon spirit before? Anfeng shook his head like a rattledrum. He thought to himself, ever since I met you, I've completely opened my eyes. Di Biming felt even more frustrated. The things that happened to the Black Thing were getting stranger, and he had a feeling that he could not control it. Thinking of this, Di Biming snorted coldly and flung his sleeves and went into the house. Yun Chujio quickly followed him. Prince Charming, let's practice calligraphy. Di Biming walked to the desk and picked up a piece of rice paper. He stared at Yun Chujio coldly. Is this what you want me to see? Yun Chujio saw the words Gigolo is shameless and Di Biming is a stinky fish written on rice paper. Her intestines were about to turn green with regret. What did it mean to bring disaster upon oneself? Me. It's me. Chapter 179, I can't do it, that. My Prince Charming, haven't I said this before? A child's words carry no harm. A child's words carry no harm. Yun Chujio was about to give herself a slap. She actually left such a piece of evidence laying around. She was simply courting death. Di Biming snorted coldly. Some things can't be heard, but seen through the eyes. What else do you have to say this time? Yun Chuzhou felt that she had dug a big hole for herself, and she could only try her best to put on an obsequious smile. Prince Charming, isn't a harmless joke between lovers good to lighten the mood? Just like how you keep calling me Black Thing or Black Bean Sprout. I'm not angry either. I'm telling the truth. Are you telling the truth? How am I like a gigolo? How am I like a stinky fish? Di Biming sat on the chair with a gloomy face. Yun Chuzhou straightened her small body. Then how am I like a bean sprout? Di Biming pursed his lips. Motherfucker, if you don't look like a bean sprout then what do you look like? It's not as if you resemble a girl. Yun Chuzhou snorted indignantly. That's because I'm still young. In a few years, I'll suffocate you with my chest. Di Biming was stunned at first, then his ears turned red. After Yun Chuzhou finished speaking, her thick-skinned face also turned red. The two of them fell into a subtle awkwardness and neither of them spoke. After a while, Di Biming coughed dryly. It won't happen again. Yun Chuzhou's eyes lit up, and she said with a smile, Prince Charming, I knew you were the most magnanimous. You won't argue with a little girl like me. Di Biming snorted coldly, but his expression eased up. After the two of them washed up, Yun Chuzhou quickly climbed to the side of the bed. Prince Charming, they'll still sleep on the inner side, and you'll sleep on the outer side. You don't even know. I couldn't sleep during the few days you left. I only fell asleep counting you. I mean counting sheep. Di Biming had a depressed air around him. After hearing Yun Chuzhou's words, it miraculously disappeared completely. Yes, although the black thing scolded him, she still had him in its heart. Otherwise, why would she not be able to sleep without him? Di Biming took off his coat and lay on the outer side of the bed. Then, he waved his hand to extinguish the candle. Has that bird boy been looking for you recently? Di Biming pretended not to care and asked. However, his hand was clenched into a fist. Senior brother Feng Ming often comes to look for me to play. He has helped me a lot. If it wasn't for senior brother Feng Ming, I wouldn't have gotten the rolling pin. Yun Chuzhou said thoughtlessly. Didn't I tell you to eat your meals and mind your own business? Didn't I tell you to keep a distance from him? Di Biming's face sank. Yun Chuzhou was amused. Prince Charming, are you worried that something is going on between senior brother Feng Ming and I? Don't worry, he's my grand disciple. I can't do it. We're not in the same generation. Di Biming's face looked better. He snorted and did not pursue the matter anymore. Prince Charming, have you found the information about the grass in my dantian? Yun Chuzhou asked expectantly. Di Biming frowned. Not at the moment. For now, you have to focus on your cultivation. Maybe after your cultivation increases, you can find out more about it. Yun Chuzhou could not help but feel a little disappointed. She sighed lightly. Di Biming turned around and grabbed Yun Chuzhou's hand, Black Thing, don't worry. I won't let you die. Yun Chuzhou felt her heart beating rapidly. She pulled her hand back in panic, yes, yes. Thank you, Prince Charming. I won't die. I'm a scourge. I can live for 10,000 years. Chapter 180, So heartless. When Di Biming saw that Yun Chuzhou had withdrawn her hand, he felt a little empty in his heart. He withdrew his hand in embarrassment and turned his back to Yun Chuzhou without saying a word. Yun Chuzhou's little heart pounded for a while. She muttered a few words in her heart. Lust was emptiness, emptiness was lust. Then, she fell asleep without a care in the world. Hearing Yun Chuzhou's steady breathing, Di Baiming turned around and looked at Yun Chujio angrily. He scolded her in a low voice, "What a heartless person." Although he said that, he reached out and pulled Yun Chujio over. Then, he closed his eyes and fell asleep. Ever since the shift started, everyone was very conscious of it. Therefore, Elder Huang did not ring the bell every morning and Yun Chujio got to sleep very soundly. It was not until the sun rose high that Yun Chujio opened her eyes in a daze. She saw Di Baiming staring at her, seemingly smiling. Could it be that she was drooling? Yun Chujio quickly wiped her chin with her hand. When she realized that there was nothing, she smiled brightly. "Good morning, Prince Charming." When Di Baiming saw Yun Chujio's bright smile, he felt as if a flower was blooming in his heart. He said gently, "Good morning, black thing." Yun Chujio looked at Di Baiming's eyes that were as bright as the stars. For some reason, her face turned red. She scrambled out of bed and said, "Well, I'm going to the kitchen to borrow some breakfast." Yun Chujio was about to run out when Di Baiming laughed out loud. "Black thing, are you going out without your coat?" Yun Chujio laughed out loud and quickly put on her coat. Then, she hopped out of the house. When she walked outside, Yun Chujio used her hand to pat her slightly warm face. "TSK. Gigolo, your looks really bring disaster to the country and the people. Even though I have a heart of stone, am a little lustful." Yun Chujio washed up briefly and then hopped into the big kitchen. Everyone had already finished their breakfast and was preparing lunch. Yun Chujio strolled around and inadvertently borrowed quite a lot of food. Everyone was very busy and there were a few pots of vegetables missing. Although they shouted a few words, no one took it seriously. Yun Chujio returned to the courtyard with satisfaction. When the rolling pin and Little Black saw that Yun Chujio had returned, they pounced on her. Di Baiming walked out of the house and snorted. Instantly, the two foodies went their separate ways, as if there was a wolf chasing after them. Yun Chujio curled her lips. These two useless idiots, is there a need to be so afraid? Then, the smile on her face blossomed. "Prince Charming, are you done washing up? I'll set up breakfast, then you can eat." After having breakfast, Yun Chujio asked, "Prince Charming, how many days do you plan to stay this time before you leave?" Before Di Baiming could say anything, Yun Chujio hurriedly added, "Prince Charming, don't misunderstand. I'm not chasing you away, I'm just mentally preparing to accompany you." Di Baiming's face that had just sunk suddenly turned bright. "It could be as short as 3 days, or as long as 5 days. I still have things to deal with." Yun Chujio nodded. Then, she took out a small kitchen knife from her storage ring and was about to cut her arm. Di Baiming was shocked and snatched the small kitchen knife away. "What are you doing?" Yun Chujio was stunned. "Bleeding? Didn't you have to use my blood to get rid of the cold?" Di Baiming saw a shallow wound on Yun Chujio's arm. It was cut by Yun Chujio when she saved him previously. His heart ached. "There's no need to cut such a big wound even if you want to bleed. Give me your hand." You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.